Good morning, class. It's July 14th, and this is Oceanography. This morning, the first assignment will be a do now about what does the Sea Shepherd protect. The Sea Shepherd is a conservation vessel, and the reading here is based on their website, which I'll show you in a moment here, but from their inception in 1977, a small organization with one boat, the Sea Shepherd, has grown to become a global movement of thousands of passionate and courageous volunteers working on the decks of 10 ships and soon to be more, operating all around the planet. Our message over these last 4 decades has been consistent and transparent. We expose, intercept, and oppose illegal operations that damage and destroy marine wildlife and habitats. So that's their main mission. You can read through the rest of here for the do now. Their website, seashepherd.org, goes through more of their mission, their story, their campaigns, and how you can get involved if you're interested in protecting the marine wildlife. So this is a short 1-minute video about Ocean Day. Every day is World Ocean Day. So that was the introduction there for the do now. So if you can take a few minutes to work on the do now, and then we'll go into the next segment, which is going to be about pollution. So here you can work on that do now before you do the pollution. What species does the Sea Shepherd organization work to protect? So you saw many of those species that were in the video. Why are these species important to protect, and why are they endangered? There's also another video down here, why we defend the oceans. 4-minute video that'll help you answer question number 2. Why are these species important to protect, and why are they endangered? So at that point, you can get going to do now. Good luck. All right, so today we'll be discussing the topic pollution in the marine environment. Pollution of water. Most human populations live along the rivers because of the access to water, food resources, and trade. In the U.S., about 3/4 of the population lives within 55 miles of the coast, and as a result, there's a great concentration of waste that may be dumped into the sea. Wastes are a natural byproduct of living systems and are converted to safer forms that can be reused by the process of decomposition and nutrient recycling. A pollutant is a substance that can cause harmful effect to humans or marine life or plants and anything. Sewage and sewage treatment. This is a big problem, especially after big rainstorms. Contaminated water may contain harmful microorganisms or pathogens that can cause life-threatening diseases such as typhoid fever, cholera, dysentery, and hepatitis. All things that can make your stomach feel really bad, give you big headaches and a fever, and even lead to death. How do we know that the water is contaminated with sewage? Well, on Long Island, after every rainstorm, they do a coliform test of the waters, and if the water level has high levels of coliform bacteria, they will close the beach for at least that day, usually about 2 days. Where do you suppose you may find the highest amounts of coliform bacteria? Well, harbors have the highest coliform area because raw sewage can be dumped directly into the harbor, and they're also located in very populous areas. So raw sewage is waste material that has not been treated, meaning that the pollutants have not been removed from it. So raw sewage can be cleansed. They take the solid parts out, sticks, rags, other debris that are brought to a landfill or incinerator, which is burning them. Some tanks contain bacteria to digest the fecal waste. So natural bacteria will digest it slowly over time. And then the sludge will actually settle to the bottom. So the sludge is the solid portion that's treated with chlorine. And the liquid portion is also treated with chlorine to kill any microorganisms. Then the liquid discharge that contains fewer pathogens than the raw sewage comes into the plant. So this is all outside the plant being filtered out. And then when it gets into the plant, they filter it out even more. There is a sudden increase in fecal coliform bacteria. Heavy rain washes in from storm drains the sewage treatment plants cannot handle, and it's pumped into the local waterways. So if it rains too much, they overflow, and the overflow just means that they send that untreated raw sewage out into the harbors, into the areas past the nautical mile, out by Jones Beach, where the amphitheater is for the concerts. And there's a little absorbance by the ground, so there's a large amount of runoff that goes into the local waterways as well. So this here is an example of how the water of a river is containing large amounts of sediment and any kind of pollutants, and that runoff goes into the harbor and slowly spreads out. And then over time, this will all spread out, and that will cause a high level of coliform or any kind of pollutants in that area. Here's an extreme pollutant area. Toxic chemicals found in waste and byproducts from industrial, agricultural, industrial, domestic activities. DDT, PCB, mercury, other heavy metals, oil pollution, radioactive waste, thermal pollution, which means like just the water's too hot and it can cause harmful conditions for plants and animals. DDT. DDT was used on farms and swamps and coastal areas to kill bugs. But it actually would pass through the food chain, and then it would go from mosquito to larva to fish to birds. And then the birds would eat the fish, and then we would eat the fish as well, and we would actually contain them too. And then it would be a harmful effect to the birds because it would interfere with their calcium, and calcium is what's in their eggs, and the eggs would be very soft, or the eggs would not be able to be hatch at all, and it would cause a decrease in the population of the birds. So they had to stop using that. Here's an example of DDT, and this boy just kind of running right through it. So they didn't really know the harms were there, or they knew it was harmful, but did not know the extent of how harmful it was. PCBs in animals, PCBs can cause cancer. In humans, PCBs can cause cancer and birth defects. So PCBs have to be labeled, and they're trying to get these removed from all the environment. They sink to the bottom of the water and are eaten by invertebrates, which are then eaten by fish and then even by humans. So biological magnification, the increase in magnification of a chemical substance as it moves up the food chain. So that big fish ate a lot of little fish that had the toxins in them. Then we ate the big fish. So in theory, we ate all the toxins involved, including all the toxins from that little fish that all of the big fish ate. Mercury is another, toxic element dumped into the environment. It causes tremors, comas, people die, become blind. It gets consumed in the local shellfish, which is like clams. High level of mercuries from industrial plants located in the bay. People that did the homework assignment about the striped bass in the Hudson River, there's PCBs and mercury in that area, so I had to clean up the river before you can start eating the fish again, even swimming in that river again. So here's a mercury cycle, how it just kind of goes through the environment, runoff, then the small fish get it, and the bigger fish get it, and then we, consume those larger fish. Example of some kind of, this is mercury, they call it quicksilver, because it's a liquid, but if it kind of moves almost like a solid, it's very cool, but not cool to touch because you absorb it. And the mouth here and another mouth there due to mutation from mercury poison. So that is some of the impact on there, and here is going to be a discovery education video, 4 minutes, about the human impact, pollution in the ocean.
So all these changes really tie into this next question we have from a student, actually from somewhere I go to school. Elena Hellenberg from Skyline High School in Longmont, Colorado asks, is there much of a problem with pollution in the ocean?
Great question, Elena. Yes, your school pride should be very prideful right now. Yes. There is a big problem with pollution in the ocean, and a lot of it, again, starts from land, from people. The land, when we produce garbage, we tend to put it in a landfill. Well, it can end up in the ocean even though it came from a landfill because the wind can blow it in. Streams and rivers can carry trash and other debris out to the ocean. And the problem is not just that it looks gross. I mean, trash in the ocean, it's never
Not attractive.
No. So you have all this garbage in the ocean. Well, when plastic bags fall onto a coral reef, they can smother the coral. Remember, they're living animals. Cans and bottles and other debris can break pieces of coral off. They can wrap around animals. And the plastic actually, once it's in the ocean for a long time, it begins to break down into smaller parts. And these smaller parts get digested and eaten by birds and fish and other animals because they think they're smaller fish or invertebrates. So scientists are finding animals with tiny little bits of plastic in their bellies, which no nutritional value there.
No, that's not good at all.
Yeah, so pollution is definitely a problem globally in the ocean.
So what's being done to help protect the oceans and solve that?
Well, scientists are working hard on things. Everyday people are working hard. Everyone who has an idea is welcome to share it. Scientists are working with different species of coral to find ones that are more heat tolerant so they can withstand the increasing temperatures and not lose their zooxanthellae belly and become bleached. They're also working with local fishermen to identify some fishing practices and policies that will both be ecologically friendly and keep the fishermen in their jobs. And then you have local conservationists, people who just work in the field, like Brent Smith, he's a local fisherman. Sorry, not local to Colorado. He's been a fisherman his entire life. He's in New England. And he identified and created these things called 3D ocean farms. And they're 3D because they use the entire water column from the very bottom to the very surface. And they plant native species, so they're ecologically friendly, and there's no worry about invasive species. So they have abalone and oysters and kelp that they grow in these 3D ocean farms. And then you have Boy and Slack, who, when he was a teenager, very similar in age to you, sort of came up with this idea of a way to clean up the ocean. So you brought up the idea of pollution. So he came up with the Ocean Cleanup Array. And it's a solar-powered technology that floats along the surface of the ocean, collecting plastic and other debris to remove it from the ocean. So it's not powered by people, it's powered by the sun.
You came up with that as a teenager?
Yes.
Makes me feel bad about myself.
No, you're on the right track.
I'm not coming up with ocean-saving technology.
Give it a few minutes. I'm sure we'll get
eventually.
We'll get you there.
Yeah. So I need to know, what can we as students, what can we do to protect the oceans, especially living somewhere here so far away from the water?
Well, no matter where you live, and here in Colorado we can do this too, and no matter where you are, the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle. The less garbage there is, the less opportunity it will be to get into the ocean.
All right, so at this point you can start working on the next assessment, which is pollution. Pollution deals with coastal pollution, and that kind of reviews what we just talked about. When is trash in the ocean is good? Ocean water pollution, coastal pollution. You have a plastic bag floating in the ocean looking like food. The Pacific garbage patch, which goes along with I Do Now from last week, mostly consumed by plastic in the garbage patch. And you have 10 questions here, true, false, so multiple choice. And when you complete that, you submit that, and that'll be the assessment for today. And then don't forget to work on the exit ticket. Exit ticket just deals with reading discovery, a highway for cultural dispersion. and deals with the Kon-Tiki of how man traveled around.